Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK.
And I'm Courtney.
And we are drinking wine on a Monday.
Cheers. Oh, my wine's not there yet. Just sit for a second more. It's a little sweet.
Mine's supposed to be sweet, so.
No,
But
no.
how have you been, Miss Courtney?
Making it. I've been working a lot and staying out till all hours of the morning. Like I'm young. And I'm doing okay, but one of my coworkers did ask me if I was 35 on Saturday. And so it really knocked me back down. So that's nice.
This guy who is a cleaner at my building, at my work, asked me if I had a son. He was thinking about my brother, who's only 6 years younger than me. So I feel that on a spiritual
People
level.
used to always think my sister was my kid, but she is 10 years younger than me. But also I was like 15 and she was like 5. Like, this doesn't add up. Math, this doesn't work.
My brother's in his 20s. How could I be his mother?
Yeah. No. So that's fine. It's fine. How's your week been?
Well, it's Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I already hate it here.
Yay.
Yeah, it's just been a lot.
We are starting on a real high note then this episode.
Last week was the longest week of my life. And like to the point where on Friday when we were leaving work, the secretary at the school looked at me and was like, remember that thing? That was only Tuesday. And I was like, can we not talk about how long this week has been?
I feel like we say that every week, which just like
it's
says so much.
It's so depressing, but like
I know.
It's November.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the first fully in-person school year in 2 years.
Yeah.
And these kids have just about lost their minds. They haven't had to behave around people for this long, in so long, that they don't know how to do it.
Mm-mm. No, I don't. The same guy who thought I was 35 asked me if I had kids. And I went, no. And he just looked at me. I was like, I'm sorry. No, I do not. That is not on the horizon. And he was like, what? And I was like, no, thank you.
No,
please.
I politely declined that offer. Thank you.
I mean, I don't know that it was an offer, but it was a question that I very clearly disputed.
I didn't mean from him. I meant to have children at all.
Well, none of the above. None of the above. No, thank you. So I'm not jealous of your children that are losing their minds.
One of my students today asked me if I needed a hug, and I literally said, no, because if you hug me, I will start crying. I thought you were
gonna say no because I don't want to hug any of you.
No, I also asked my principal if you could write students up for being little bitches, and she said, I'm going to leave the room now.
That's not fair.
I know. But luckily,
reasonable to me.
Also, I have the relationship with my principal where I can ask that question, which I'm so grateful for.
Absolutely.
But the answer is no, you cannot, and I should not be talking like that on a Monday.
So teachers, take a note. You cannot.
Rude. Quite rude, really.
Yes. No, I agree. That's fine. You know what was good about this week, other than the fact that my birthday is on Friday, or when you're listening to this 2 days ago, Dead like me.
It's true. It was very good. We are talking about episode 3 of season 1 called Curious George, which I just love because my brother's name is George and we used to call him Curious George when he was little. It came out on July 11th, 2003. It was rated 7.8 stars, and we did upgrade. The number 1 song in the country did change from Play Against This Is the Night to Crazy in Love by Beyonce and Jay-Z.
I mean, okay.
Right.
Quite an upgrade.
But also,
quite an upgrade.
How is this that long ago? Because I don't remember a time in my existence where that song wasn't already a thing.
Yeah. I mean, this was 2003. What was I doing in 2003?
I was 11.
11. Same. So junior high. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I was probably in my first 6th grade dance, jam into Crazy in Love by Beyonce and Jay-Z.
In July of 2003, I was probably at Disney World. I'll be honest.
Oh, in July, I was not at a school dance. we did not have school in July. I mean, unless it was summer school, which I did not have.
No. The description, which I was gonna write the IMDb description, and then I realized it wasn't a description, it was a plot summary that was very poorly written by someone who submitted it. So I just went to Amazon and copied the blurb before you click play on the episode.
Excellent.
George breaks a cardinal rule and sneaks back to her parents' house. She attempts to communicate with her mother, only to discover that the amazingly trite saying, "You can never go home," is even more accurate when you're dead.
That's the rule.
I appreciated that. Mm-hmm. It was directed by Peter Lauer, who it is the first of 4 episodes that he directs. And he has tons of TV comedy credits like Scrubs, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Younger, Emily in Paris. He also wrote or directed for both Wonder Falls and Pushing Daisy, which are Brian Fuller's other shows. And my favorite, the highly, highly underrated MTV comedy Awkward.
He also worked on a few episodes of 2 underrated shows that I loved, Imaginary Mary and Manhattan Love Story.
I did see those, but I've never seen them, so I didn't put them on my list.
I loved them dearly, and they only had 1 season each, I think.
It was written by Peter Oko, who also wrote for 4 different episodes of this show. He wrote for Pushing Daisies again. He wrote for super popular shows like Elementary and The Office, but he also wrote for some more sci-fi type shows like Black Sails and Extant. So
I don't know what those things are.
And then, completely unrelated to any of those, he also was a staff writer on the 1990s TV show Dinosaurs.
I do know that one.
I love that show so much.
Not the mama. That's for the TV show, right? Not the movie.
Yeah.
One? Okay.
Not the mama. I, for a long time, thought that I fever dream made up that entire show because I couldn't find anything about it. And then the internet happened and I realized that I did not make up that show. It is real. And there are people who love it as much as I did.
I watched it a lot as a child in my aunt's house all the time.
I appreciate that, man, purely for that. Now let's see if I remember this episode because I watched it yesterday and I realized that my notes are not very coherent.
Excellent.
So the episode starts with a monologue, as it usually does, where George is explaining exactly how many beats the average human heart has, while there is a bunch of scenes of her getting ready in the morning and also her mom getting ready in the morning. And she says, my favorite line, "How many beats do broken hearts get?" was very
which
sad.
is so depressing. It makes me think of what's that song? I don't want to sing it because we don't pay any royalties. We don't need money. Drop a heart, break a name. You know, very emo, very punk.
Yeah, it's that's Sugar We're Going Down by Fall Out Boy.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I had to also sing it in my head to get there. But then we go to George at work with Rube at a gas station where there are people protesting the unfair treatment of a bear. And there's a bunch of them. And George is like, how do you know which one is the one you got to take the soul from? And Rube just goes like this. Hey, which one of you is whatever the guy's last name was? And he turns around and he's like, see?
Easy enough.
But basically, we find out that the bear attack did kill more than one of them. And is it Roxy who's late or Mason who's late?
I truly do not remember. That was yesterday.
Somebody came in late.
I think it was Mason.
Oh yeah, so he gets there late, and Rube yells at him because now this girl will, for eternity, have a massive bear claw scratch on her face. So we did answer our question from last week that the piano is the plot hole.
Yes, correct.
I appreciated that. They look however their bodies look when the soul exits.
Mm-hmm. I also want to note during this scene, he shows up wearing a trash bag, and I was like, what is going on? Before I realized what was happening. And then I was like, it's also raining, so maybe it's like a rain jacket. And all I could think of were those like gym bros back in the day who like wore garbage bags and ran around to lose weight really fast. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do, but so the thing is, in Thailand, it rains all the time. And there would be so many times where we would leave work and have to go get on motorbikes to drive home without ponchos. So we would take the industrial sized garbage bags and poke holes in them for our heads so that our backpacks would be under the garbage bags when we got on the motorbikes to go home. So I was like fully there for the garbage bag.
Problem was, that's not why he was wearing a garbage bag.
Well, he was getting rained on.
Also getting rained on, but more so to keep the blood off of his clothes.
Oh yeah, no, he got rained on, just with a different liquid.
Right. So I was very confused at first though, because that is not an approach I've taken. Just walk in the rain and hope for the best.
I mean, think about it. Like we talked about Patrick Bateman's raincoat, shower curtain coat. Like you do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I love rain. I love rain so much. And so like if I'm caught in the rain, I'm just caught in the rain. And I'm just happy about it.
I never worry about getting caught in the rain unless I'm carrying a work bag because my computer being caught in the rain is a problem. Being caught in the rain, no.
See, I never have my computer, but I have like other stuff in my bag. I don't want to get destroyed. But I always have something like a notebook or something, and I just like put it on top of everything else. And I'm like, if it gets rained on, it's just the notebook. I'll throw it out.
That's not how I feel about notebooks.
I mean, I'd prefer if it didn't. And then the notebook I have is hardcover, so like it'll protect some things, but it's a Trader Joe's bag. It'll come back.
So then George has to go to work, still covered in blood because she did not put a trash bag on. And we're still monologuing about all of the things that she hates about her job. And I decided that it was the most painfully accurate description of trying to make friends as an adult I've ever heard in my life. Yeah. She's like, basically, you just find someone who likes the same thing as you, and then you gang up on everyone who doesn't like that thing and bully them. And I was like, wow, that is what being friends with people as an adult are. You only talk to the two people who like the same thing that you do.
Yes. That's how you make friends at work. You find the people at work that annoy you, and you say, hey, that person annoys me. Hey, me too. And you're best friends. Thankfully, most of ours are customers, not the people we work with. So like, Works out. We can talk about whoever we want.
um, then we go to the last household where Joy is helping Reggie get ready because Reggie decided to wear the dress she wore to Georgia's funeral.
I'm sorry. We need to go back to her office scene really fast.
Oh, sure.
Because this is the moment I've decided I'm going to love Dolores. She just cracks me up because she starts talking about Georgia saying something about a rim job for some reason. And then Dolores comes in and she's like, my cousin's
her password on her
job.
computer is rim
Oh,
job.
yeah.
Dolores is like, why that password? And she was like, oh, my childhood hamster was named that.
And Dolores, oblivious to everything, is just like, oh yeah, my cousin. We called him Odd Job. He was Odd Job.
No, her grandpa's cousin's cat was named Odd Job.
Oh, okay. Look, there's a lot of connections. I wrote down just pieces of it, but I was just like, God bless Dolores. You're gonna be my favorite character forever. Anyways, now we can move forward.
So then we go back to the last household where they're getting ready for family photos. Because apparently when your daughter has been dead for a week, you need to take new family photos.
Yes.
And you can't do that wearing the clothes you wore to her funeral, apparently.
Poor Reggie.
Yeah. So there's this whole fight between Reggie and Joy, and then they get ready. And the whole time that they're fighting, Georgia's like hanging out creepily outside her house. And then her family leaves to go get their pictures, and she just walks on in.
And it's so sad. This next 5 to 10 minutes is just all sad.
It is, except for that there is a really funny, so it's really sad, and she's got all these moments, and she's like taking things from her house. But then she's like, oh wait, before I leave, let me go get some underwear for my room. I mean, I guess
that's what you're concerned about is a grim.
I mean, you have no money, so you can't buy new underwear. So I guess I get it.
I'm just displeased with how the Grims are physical, tangible people, and that they need to worry about all of that.
They got to eat and wear clothes.
I understand that that's me arguing for things that I can't have, but I'm just not happy about it.
Sure. But she walks into her room and is like, shit, everything's in boxes. But then she realizes that there's a label on every single box. And she says, my absolute favorite line I've ever heard. If my mother ever put a bullet in her head, it would probably be labeled.
I did love that. Yes.
I have never related to something so much in my life. But then she is being all sad and nostalgic and sleeping while sniffing her own clothes, which I got, but I also didn't get.
I also didn't get, because she's like, the smell I miss the most. My own, I was like, okay, so we're tangible. This again, where my argument comes in again. We're tangible. We can do everything we did before. We look different, but we now have no smell. But does she still need to shower?
Oh, yeah, no, she just doesn't smell like her because she's in a different body.
Yeah, but I don't know. That was weird for me. I didn't like that.
See,
I would think she would miss her family smell.
For me, the thing that was weird about it is I don't think I would want to smell myself.
I don't either.
I don't smell good to myself. I mean, I don't smell bad to myself. I'm not
right.
Oh, I smell bad, but I'm not that smells like me.
But also, I don't think about my scent. So if I were to smell it somewhere else.
If I could never smell myself again, maybe it would be different. I don't know.
Maybe.
So then while she is cuddling her own clothes in her bed, her family arrives home. She has to sneak out. And her mom is realizing that there are things missing from the house. And this pissed me off a little bit because she took the family photo off of her mom's nightstand. And then obviously her mom was going to know it was missing. It was the only thing on this woman's nightstand.
Well, it's pretty clear George isn't thinking things through.
Clearly.
So
And then I don't know if that goes right into the scene where Reggie is hiding in George's room.
With the Ouija board?
Yep. Or if I missed something else.
Well,
But,
she is in the shower before, and it's a really sad scene with the mom where the
oh,
mom is talking to her. And then at the very end, she's like, Mom, are you still there? And I was
yes.
like,
Yeah, that was really sad. And then she is asking the Ouija board questions about where George is and clearly just moving the Ouija board around.
Yeah.
Just, I was like, that's not how that works. Then
I did say she's just trying to get haunted because like she's doing this all herself. She don't even know where George is. Doesn't she know the risk of using a Ouija board? Like, come on.
then we have a really great moment with some bonding between George and Betty, where Betty is still babysitting George because she's not allowed to be alone because she keeps not doing her job.
Right.
And they are getting this guy out of a tree. He parachuted to his death in a tree, and they can't get his body out of the tree to get his soul out. Which it's like, that's so funny because like what happens if you die like in a weird way?
Your body's just deformed now. Is that what you're asking? Like you land in a tree, you're all like mangled?
Right. I mean, and he was mangled, but like what happens like people who fall off a cliff into like water or something? What if the Reaper doesn't get their soul before they fall off a cliff? And then is their soul just going to be in pieces forever?
Well, the soul's not in pieces. Their body's just in pieces.
Yeah, but if the soul doesn't come out first,
then they just have whatever's left attached to the soul, I guess. Like if they lose their arm, they just don't have an arm when they get done.
oh, gross.
Doesn't seem ideal.
What's that?
Doesn't seem ideal.
No. But so I love the George Betty bonding moment. Betty is explaining that going home is never going to help, and getting things from your previous life doesn't like actually help you feel any better. And we get a flashback to Betty stealing her own engagement ring off of her dead body. So our prediction was that we would get Betty's backstory, and we didn't really get any backstory, but we did at least see Betty's death.
Flash, yeah.
Like a flash of the back of Betty. I wrote shit, I missed what year Betty died, so then I Googled it because it didn't count as a spoiler for me because I already knew.
Yeah.
Like, because when it says when she died, it also says how she died, but I did already know that part of it, so I didn't feel bad Googling it. I wouldn't have wanted you to Google it.
Right.
But so she died in 1926.
Okay, yes. I was like, I feel like I remembered that.
It does make the outfit she was wearing when she robbed her own grave make sense.
Yes.
But Betty's a little hypocritical because she's saying all these things about how stealing from your previous life isn't going to help you, but she is still wearing the ring. Then we get a scene of Roxy and Mason arguing in the diner. And Roxy feels the exact same way about birds that I do. And she's like, I'm going to get a parrot. And Mason's like, why the fuck would you want a parrot? And she's like, I just want a friend. He's
okay,
like,
but like, have you watched videos of the gray parrots? They're something gray parrots. They're amazing. But they also live like 90 years.
I'm obsessed with birds.
So if you don't, well, I'm not a huge fan, but I do like these gray parrots. I mean, I wish they didn't live 90 years. As much as I like would hate to see a pet die, it's gonna outlive you. Like,
yeah, for sure.
But they're so talented. You could teach them anything.
Yeah.
They can tell them murders.
Absolutely. No, I'm obsessed with birds. When she was talking about how smart they are and how they could open their own cages, and then he was like, "Why would you put them in a cage?" Then she's like, "Because where the fuck else would you put them?" I'm like, literally, no. Like,
No, that's true though. Yeah.
We get it.
Right.
My next note just says, "What the fuck, Mason?" So I can't remember what he did, but something.
I also don't remember.
Oh, yeah. So Mason shows up at Georgia's apartment and just starts going through her shit and like wakes her up. And she's like, why would you wake me up? I was dreaming about frogs. And he was like, was it about frogs that eat people? And she was like, no, just like regular frogs. And then just had the fucking weirdest conversation about frogs for like a solid 2 or 3 minutes. And then was like, oh, are you gonna need this knife back? Cool, I'm gonna take it.
Look, frogs are excellent. I could have a conversation for longer than 2 or 3 minutes about them, but probably wouldn't end with someone stealing a knife. So be fair.
But he stole the knife for whatever gang fight he was about to get himself involved in for taking a soul. And we have a lovely scene with Mason and Betty taking Myers-Briggs tests. And Betty says that she thinks that the guy who died was probably an intuitive thinker because they're the worst. And I was like, as an NF, I agree. I feel that.
I forgot what mine is. I meant to look it up. I looked it up recently. But also, if I was a Grimm, this is how I'm spending my time while I'm like waiting on
just taking
people.
all of the personality tests. But I was really confused because they were
Exactly.
only using 2 letters instead of 4.
No,
I
they
was
used
like,
4 sometimes.
no, she well no, now in this episode they didn't. And they used 4 now, but Betty and Mason were only talking about the NFs and the NTs.
Oh, I thought whenever the guy like ran up to the window, she said his 4, but I very wrong.
No, I only know because I was upset that they didn't use all 4.
I see.
So then Georgia is going back on another mission.
I'm a INFP T.
Oh, I'm an INFJT.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, is T the one that's chaotic?
Probably. I don't know. That would make sense though.
Yeah, no, T is turbulent. Yes, I'm an INFJT.
Yeah. I'm also a T.
Am I? No, now I'm confused. Is that correct?
I only know because we looked it up for my writing group recently, and I was like, oh, I need to know what this is.
No, I don't want you. I am. Oh, no, that's. No, that makes sense. I'm an ENFP T, but the E and the I are like super, super 50-50.
Mine's like 60, 64, 35 or something. So I'm like mostly I, but.
No, I'm like every few years I take the test and I flip which one I am.
Nice.
So then they're at another assignment back at the gas station where they were in the beginning. And this time Roxy is George's babysitter and the bear is still there. And George is like trying to make small talk. And so she's like, how do you think it's going to happen? And Roxy gives her prediction. And she's like, why the fuck do you guys always come up with the weirdest ways for it to happen? Why does it always have to be the least likely possibility?
No, but I love that because that's what I do whenever I'm, especially like when I'm tired at night and I just let my brain take off. I come up with the most random things. I've created so many conspiracy theories in the past week, and I tell Rachel, I'm like, we're gonna believe this now. She's like, where'd that come from? I don't know, but we're gonna believe that now and tell other people.
I thank you for not telling me, because one of 2 things would happen. either I would go full anxiety spiral and be 100% there with you, or I would mercilessly mock you to the point of no return.
Well, it's because I call her when I leave the bar at night. So I've been working for like 13 to 14 hours for the day. And then I'm walking home and I just let my brain do what it wants. And that's what it wants to do.
Fair.
So I'm glad it's her too and not you for mocking me.
Well, also mostly I'm glad it's her and not me because I'm very much asleep by the time you leave the bar.
Sometimes she is too. It's fine.
But so they're at this news protest thing at the gas station, trying to come up with the most reasonable way that someone is going to die. And then what actually happens is, in my opinion, the most awful way anyone could ever die. Because the news anchor drops his microphone. And there's some loose wires and electricity happening. And then the bear gets loose and he pees himself and gets electrocuted by his own pee.
That was the most embarrassing way to die. Like, I understand you're dead now, so it like doesn't matter, but also,
yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah. Mostly the show makes me think of all the ways I hope I don't die.
That is fair. It's like that show, 1,000 Ways to Die.
See,
you know that show?
I used to watch that show all the time, but like that show, it kind of freaked me out because some of the reenactments were a little graphic, but also it made me think of ways that like I would never die. Like, for example, there was this one episode with a lesbian couple that died by choking on a candy bikini.
Oh, I saw that one. I know I made a weird face like you were crazy, but I did see that one.
And then there was another one where this guy was having sex with a little person and the little person smashed into a concrete wall too many times because of the motion of the ocean and knocked their head on the concrete wall and died. And I was like, you're just telling me things to not do.
Yeah, I will say I didn't watch it a ton. My dad got really into it one time when I was home. And of course, the one I watched was on like the sleep paralysis demon that killed her. And then I was like, that's terrifying. And now I'm terrified of that forever.
That's fair. This show is just more realistic, like peeing yourself during a bear attack and happening to electrocute yourself, much more likely to happen to me than smashing my head into a concrete wall while having sex with a little person.
Yes, agreed.
Although of those scenarios, I hope I'm not ever in either situation.
Like, no, I don't want to be in any of the situations listed on 1,000 Ways to Die, but I also a lot of times think I'm going to scare myself to death with an anxiety attack. Hopefully that won't happen. I'm medicated, so I probably won't, but we'll see.
My God. Sorry, that reminded me of one of the moments of this week. I was sitting there and I was like eating lunch, talking to my coworkers, everything. And then all of a sudden I like put my lunch away and they're like, are you okay? And I go, no, I don't know what's wrong. I just like, I got really warm all of a sudden and I feel like I'm going to throw up. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just like not okay. And then I just sat there for like a minute or two and I was like putting my head down and then I go, oh, and they're like, what? I go, I'm sorry. I just realized the reason I feel like I'm going to throw up is because I'm having an anxiety attack. I'll be okay. Sorry. Just, it literally took me a full like 2 minutes of like being like, ooh, I feel like, oh, I get it. Just kidding. We're great. Just having a panic attack. We'll be fine.
That happens every time I go into Macy's. Why Macy's, you ask? I have no idea. But I get overheated and I'm about to pass out and throw up at the same time every time I'm at Macy's for longer than 5 minutes. And then I have to call Rachel and I'm like, I might pass out at Macy's, so I need you to talk to me in case I do. And she's like, okay, that's fine.
Like I literally was just like, oh, mystery solved.
Everything's fine. Used to this. This is normal.
We're good.
Don't mind me.
We're good. Speaking of normal, George decides to do the absolute normal thing in any situation and immediately go knock on her own door.
God bless.
And then she does something that in any situation is terrifying. and starts like petting her little sister's hair and being hella
The
creepy.
creepiest.
Like,
The creepiest.
we've already discussed that her new human body looks like she does heroin. And she just showed up at this house and started like petting a 10-year-old. No.
After she's already creeped out the mom in the past. So like, not a good look.
And then she's like, oh, I'm a friend of your mom's. Number one thing, if anyone ever says I'm a friend of your mom's, do not
They're
get
trying to
in the car with
kidnap
them.
you.
Yeah, do not get in the car with them.
They are a liar. PSA for all the children listening.
The problem is everyone actually does know my dad. And so I heard all the time, I'm a friend of your dad's. But luckily, never were those people stupid enough to think that I would then go with them. They just were like introducing themselves. But
yeah,
do not ever get in the car with someone who says, I'm a friend of your parents. Because they're not.
They're evil. They're not a friend to anyone you know.
And her mom does come out and is like, why are you at my house? You fucking creep. And she then slips up and calls her mom. And her mom calls her a skanky bitch and tells her to get out.
When she tries to tell her who she is, I just put big mistake, dude. Big mistake.
I was like, do not. And then we see that Roxy has a soul because she just picks George up and doesn't say anything and lets her cry. It's very beautiful. And she goes to Rue and she's like, well, she tells Roxy, she's like, are you going to tell him I went home again? She's like, only if you don't. So she goes and she's like, I went home. And he has a dad moment and he's like, you can't do that. Like, this is why you feel like this. And she was like, are you telling me that like thoughts and memories are all I'm supposed to keep? And he was like, that's all we ever had, Peanut.
I was so sad at this moment.
I know.
He's being so sweet to her because he knows it's devastating.
You know, but also like my favorite thing about his character is that he's sweet, but he's unpredictable. Harsh. Like he's exactly what you want a dad to be. He cares so much, but he's never going to lie to you. He's not going to sugarcoat it. But also, I love that his outlook on life, like the things that he says are just so true. Like, it doesn't matter what you believe. Like, all we ever have of this life, whether you believe in an afterlife or not, like all we will ever have of this life are thoughts and memories. Like, that's what life is.
And it's just so sad.
It's so beautiful.
Don't like existential thinking in my comedy horror dark show. Whatever it is.
We picked the absolute wrong show then because
it's fine. I'll just reevaluate my entire life this series.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
I'm ready.
Perfect. There are 2 goofs on IMDb. One is one of those dumb continuity goofs that I absolutely hate because I know that they do these things in 850 shots because I've been in a movie before. I get it. And one of them is that in the first scene with the garbage bag, there are moments where it switches between whether he has a garbage bag on or not. Whatever.
It's fine.
This one is not a continuity. It is a crew that should not have been in the shot being in the shot. You can see the zookeeper open the cage to let the bear out.
I didn't notice that, but I think I had looked away because I was like, he's gonna get eaten by a bear. And then next thing I knew, I looked back and the cage was open and the bear was coming out. And I was like, that was very quick for what I thought. So I think
the one thing that I will say, for a show that's on Showtime, obviously the language is really graphic. The gore is not.
It is not at all. It was I was expecting much more.
Mm.
But
And
like
like
I'm okay with that. I'm not a huge gore
me too. I'm
person.
not a
So
huge
like
gore person. And I think I remember like I had a couple moments where I was like, oh, this one's gonna be really bloody. And then it wasn't. And I was like, right, because the show, it's not about that.
right.
And I like that they like use like the blood splatter on George's shirt when she didn't put the garbage bag on and
Right.
didn't get it. Like they didn't show the guys getting attacked by the bear. They showed the blood for what the blood was necessary for, but they weren't like gross about it.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
Agreed. That's why Hemlock Grove was a bit much for me. A little too gory for me.
Girl, same. You know how when you leave Netflix on overnight and your TV doesn't have a timer and that thing, that like slideshow of all the shows that it wants you to watch? Well, Hemlock Grove shows up in mine every single time.
Right.
Probably because I watched it and because it's a Netflix original. I still have PTSD every time I see it.
It also shows up in mine all the time. And I'm like, I did it. I watched it. It's over now.
The scene that they use for that still image is Chongo, which I'm just like, can we not? Can we go back to season 1 when the show was good?
Right. Ish. Yeah.
Trivia.
Ooh.
The Skydiver sees a board game similar to Chutes and Ladders as his Great Beyond. And also, that's the saddest Great Beyond.
Okay, look.
No.
I
love board games. I love board games. But if Chutes and Ladders was my Great Beyond, I'm done.
But look, when the ladder came down, I was like, is this the best one I've seen yet? Like, I don't want to go to this Ferris wheel in the woods. I don't want to do
it's
like
only the second one we've seen.
Still, they talked about fancy lights at another time, and I was like, I like the ladder coming down. That's what I want. But
I like that they didn't.
Episode 3.
I like that they didn't make us actually watch him walk all the way up the ladder because I thought they were going to, and I was like, no.
No, we move pretty quickly.
When George tells Mason she was dreaming about frogs, he responds that he watched a movie about frogs eating people. This is likely a reference to the horror movie Frogs from 1972, starring Sam Elliott.
Never heard of this movie.
Me either.
I'm gonna look it up.
I was gonna say it. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Tell me where I can watch it, because I also like Sam Elliott, although I don't know much about him in horror. Is this a horror movie?
Yep. So Frogs from 1972, starring Ray Milland and Sam Elliott, directed by George McCohen. A group of helpless victims celebrate a birthday on an island estate crawling with killer amphibians, birds, insects, and reptiles. It has a 4.4 rating on IMDb.
And a 29% Rotten Tomato. It's not doing great. Anyways, and you have to pay for it to watch it right now, so I'll wait it out. Maybe it'll come free for streaming.
Oof.
One day.
Yeah, no, that seems awful. I do also love Sam Elliott, though. I'm trying to think, what did I watch Sam Elliott in recently?
The Ranch.
I haven't actually gotten around to watching The Ranch.
It's okay.
I feel like it was a movie. I'm not saying, that is probably the most recent thing I've seen him in, even though it's not really recent. When he played Lady Gaga's dad in A Star Is Born.
I haven't watched that yet.
Oh,
any of them?
He was
haven't watched any of them.
He was the voice of Trusty in Lady and the Tramp, the live action 2019 one.
Aww. Really liked that movie. I was surprised by how much I liked it.
I haven't seen it yet.
You should watch it. I was surprised by how much I liked it.
That is all the IMDb trivia. I don't know. I don't know that I have anything really else to say about that.
I mean, That's okay. We did the episode.
We did the episode. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy though? The blog that I often looked for random things about Hemlock Grove, Bangs for the Fantasy, also has a blog about Dead Like Me.
Oh, excellent. I've
So-
been very careful about trying to look things up online because I don't want to get spoiled on anything. But I did learn there's a Reddit group. Is that what they're called?
Mhm.
Reddit group that is just Dead Like Me, and there's almost 1,000 people in that group.
Oh.
So I joined the Reddit group, and then I might learn how to use Reddit.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I typed in Dead Like Me Curious George trivia just to see what came up, and I found a actual trivia quiz.
Interesting.
First question is early on in the episode, Georgia is talking about which it would be better to be, a brain or a heart. Which does she decide she would rather be?
It's been 24 hours since I watched this. Probably a brain. I don't know. Which one did she pick?
I thought she picked heart, but I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. Which would you
What is
pick?
it? Well, maybe she does pick. I don't know. I probably would pick heart, personally.
I would probably pick brain because that's where everything happens. If you're just a heart, you're just pumping blood. You're just a muscle.
Yeah, but based on the monologue of what she said a heart feels, I would pick heart.
Yeah, but she's wrong.
What is the name of the
How it
bear?
works.
Do you remember the name of the bear?
Oh no, I did. I forgot it.
This one is multiple choice.
Okay, I'm ready.
Nora, Moira, Flora, Dora.
Was it Moira?
No, it was Dora. That one I remember.
Ugh. The worst.
Yeah, I am
How
not.
did this show come out with a bear named Dora at the same time, roughly, that Dora the Explorer came out? You couldn't name things Dora anymore because they're all referencing Dora the Explorer now. I guess maybe it came out right after.
That is true. Dora premiered in 2000, and this came out in 2003.
Yeah.
So maybe
Bad
Dora
name
the
choice.
Explorer didn't have the insane credibility that it has today. Speaking of Dora the Explorer, one of my students one day, I had to one of the teachers was like, "Can you just stand in the room for a minute? I need to run to the restroom. They're doing independent work." And I was like, "Perfect." I walked in the room, and one of my eighth graders, the same one who asked me if I wanted a hug today, goes, "Hola, yo soy Dora. Can you find where I asked for your opinion?"
Ooh, the sass. How dare she? What Dora is she watching?
No, it was him. It was a boy. And
What Dora is he watching?
He was just saying dumb stuff, but I was like, what?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Also, the best joke that my kids did this week was when one of the kids was trying to be a real a-hole and said something about how I speak Chinese, so I shouldn't be able to spell because I couldn't remember how to spell a word. And the other kid was like, "She doesn't speak Chinese, she speaks Thai." And I was like, "Thank you." Although I do know how to say hello and thank you in Chinese. And they were like, "Yeah, so does everybody." And he was like, "Obviously, it's gracias and konnichiwa."
Yes, absolutely.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
We are learning languages.
Very well. Very well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on that note,
Who did you want to punch this episode?
oh, God, who do I want to punch? Honestly, George. Because why would you try to tell your mom a story about your imaginary friend when
I
you're
know.
a heroin addict?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
I said Betty, but only because George tried to reach out to her and be friends with her, and she was like, no thanks.
Yeah.
And like she knows George is alone and doesn't have any friends. Like she has Mason that she's friends with, and like she at least knows Roxy and Rube well, and George doesn't have anyone now.
Yeah. That's true. That's fair. Who's your MVP of the episode?
Dolores. But I think she's gonna be a running MVP for me because she just makes me laugh so much.
I think mine would have to be Rube in this episode. I really do.
Close second.
I love him. I do. And it's not just because it's Mandy Patinkin.
Right. Yeah, sure, Dan.
There's no point in doing predictions because we've already watched episode 4. So, but I will say it's probably a good prediction to say George is gonna fuck up again.
God bless her. She's got to get it together.
She sure does. As long as she doesn't go home again.
Ugh.
Like, you can make mistakes, but don't make the same mistake over and over again. Like, that's
right. That's fair.
You know what mistake you shouldn't make, dear listeners? Not following us.
That you were
on
telling
social
me.
media.
It's like, what did I do?
No. That was a good transition if you had been there with me. But
yes. That's excellent.
You can follow us on social media at Death and Aliens. We are on Instagram and Twitter. And we now have a Facebook page because Courtney got really bored at work.
Yay!
And you said you made a Reddit for us too?
No, I just commented on the Reddit thread.
Oh, as yourself.
I don't know how to make a Reddit other than I learned how to log in so I could comment on things.
Did you log in as yourself or as us?
Me.
Oh, okay. Well,
I already had one from sometime in the past when I learned I needed to watch football, and that's how I watch.
Oh, that's what I use Reddit for, is illegally stream football games. You can follow me on all of the social media at EMKAY_superstar.
And you can follow me everywhere at CECloud13.
And we will talk to you later this week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.